Hello, friends at Unity of Olympia. I am Lisa Petrich, your Youth Director, and I am so happy that you joined us here today. We are starting with prayer. So, as we start with prayer, we remember our little prayer guys and how they close their eyes and they fold their hands if you want to, or you can just focus on our light because we've lit our light to remind us of the Christ light that's inside each and every one of us. Thank you, God, for bringing us here together today. May we live, love, and grow from one another. Amen. Our rock today is, if it had a word on it, it would say inner voice, and that's that inner voice within. And our affirmation for today is, God's will for me is always good. God's will for me is always good. So we're going to talk a little bit about sound. And I want you to listen to these things that I play. I've got a few surprises here. So first thing I have is this little maraca. Let's see if you can hear what sound it makes. It's kind of a quiet sound. It's a nice one, but it's a quiet one. And then I've got this next thing here. It's a tambourine. Listen what sound that makes. All right. That was kind of a fun sound too, wasn't it? And then I have this little guy here. You may have seen me use this before, but it's my drum. It's a hand drum. Listen to this one. Yeah, that makes a good sound, doesn't it? I like it. Well, sometimes our inner voice, boys and girls, is quiet like this. You got to really get quiet to listen to it. And other times it comes in, I got it. I need to hear it. I'm hearing it. And then sometimes it comes in big and booming. And we know we need to listen. Oh, that's the right thing to do, right? So let's talk about, Noah. But we're going to talk about Noah in a song. And some of you may have know the Rise and Shine song. So if you know that song, there are some hand motions that go to with it. So I'm going to be sitting and playing, but you can stand up and do the hand motions. So it would be, you take your hands, you put them down, you go, and rise and shine. So it would be rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. And we're going to sing that song together today. Now, forgive me if I make a mistake. I'm still learning the words, or I've known the words. I used to sing this all the time with the YOUers, and I love to sing the song. But there's a lot of words and a few chords. I'm just learning the chords. Here we go. God said to Noah, there's gonna be a floody, floody. God said to Noah, there's gonna be a floody, floody. Get those animals out of the muddy, muddy, children of the Lord. So rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine, give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. So Noah, he built him an arky. Noah, he built him an arky, made it out of hickory, barky, children of the give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. The sun came up and dried up the landy, landy. Sun came up, dried up the landy, landy. Everything was fine and dandy, dandy, children, children of the Lord. So rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine, give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. The animals, they came off by threesies, threesies. Animals, they came off by threesies, threesies. Must have been those birds and beesies, beesies, children of the Lord last time. So rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine, give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. Yay, we got through it. Awesome. I hope you give us a round of applause. And if you did the hand motions, I'm proud of you. Very proud of you. So that's one story where Noah had to listen to God. God is telling him, hey, there's going to be a flood. You might want to build an ark, and I need you to get those animals 2 by 2 so that we can have animals after the flood. Now, he was there. It rained for 40 days, just like we've kind of been inside for 40 days, a little bit over. But he was inside the ark for days after that too, because they had to wait for all of that to dry up. So listening to God, he was able to save the animals, save himself, and be able to start a new world. Okay? So now we've got, I want to compare that a little bit though to the story this morning is actually about Jonah. Jonah and the whale. Now, Jonah was asked by God to go to Nineveh, and this is a town that his country, Israel, was fighting with Nineveh, and they didn't get along, and he didn't like the Nineveh people, so to speak. So God's saying, hey, Jonah, I need you to go to Nineveh, and I need you to go and spread the word of how good your God is, or how good life can be when you believe in God. And Jonah told God he was going to. So have you ever lied? Have you ever felt like you were going to do something? You're like, okay, I'll do it, but I really don't feel like doing it. Or in other words, did you ever just not get your way? Like, why can't I do it my way? That's kind of what Jonah went through. He started thinking, I don't know if I want to do this. God, I don't know if I want to go over there and help these people because they aren't my friends and I'm afraid of what's going to happen to me. So you know what he did? And some of you know because we've talked about Jonah and the whale before. Quinn, Sam, Lily, I know you know this. Jonah, he got on a boat and decided that if he was on the boat, he could sail away from God. Now, that's kind of silly because wherever we are, God is. Wherever we are, we can't get away from God because God's a part of us. So, but he thought he could. And then the storm came. A big storm came. And supposedly God created the storm. And you know where Jonah was? He was asleep. He was asleep. Now, metaphysically, he was asleep in consciousness. But in the story, he's asleep. And the other sailors come. Oh, I forgot my cute little hat for Jonah. Here we go. The other sailors come. And they're waking him up. They're like, Jonah, don't you hear this storm that's happening out there? And I mean, they're hearing things like lightning and they're hearing thunder and Jonah's asleep. I don't know how he slept. Have you ever slept through a storm? I don't know. So he wakes up and he goes, oh, I think that this is probably because of what I've done. And the sailors are like, what did you do, Jonah? And he's like, well, I kind of ran away. God told me to do something, and I kind of ran away, and I didn't want to do it. And they were like, oh, no, what are we going to do? And between the two of them, they decided they were going to throw Jonah over the boat. Now, I don't know about you. But going over the side of a boat in the middle of a storm isn't necessarily what I would want to do. But that's what they did. They threw Jonah over the boat. Now, those of you who know what happened next, maybe you could say it. Did you say that the whale swallowed Jonah? Because that was what happened. A whale came along and it swallowed Jonah. Now, we thought that that would end the story, but it doesn't end the story. Jonah lived through the experience. He stayed in that whale for 3 days and 3 nights. And during that time that he was in that whale, now think about that. This was a really stinky, slimy, gross place. I wouldn't want to be inside of a whale. There's lots of fish and there's lots of things that the whale ate. And, you know, I just don't even know how practical even that would be. But what he did was he prayed to his God, prayed to God for those 3 days and 3 nights. Prayed. And he believed and told God that he would do God's will, that he would do it. Now, sometimes when we're trying to fight up against something, it can feel like we're in that belly of the whale. It can feel like, why is this happening to me? I didn't want it this way. And you just feel like everything around you is gross and slimy and you don't want to touch it and don't want anything to do with it. And that's when we have to go within. That's when we have to listen to our inner voice. So that's what he did. He listened to his inner voice. He prayed to God. And the whale let Jonah go on the 4th day and put him out on the island. And Jonah went and spread the word to Nineveh and told them about how good God was and how much better their lives could be if they could go within and pray, if they could accept God as part of their life. And that turned everything around. And if he wouldn't have done it, if he, think about those 2 stories though. It's not that if he wouldn't have gone to Nineveh, I think God would have kept following him. But the 2 stories of, you've got Noah in the ark and you've got Jonah and the whale. Now Noah listened to God and Jonah eventually listened to God too. And when they both listened, something good came from that. Something good came from that. So it's really important to take time out of your day, boys and girls, to listen to God. Now that can be just sitting in front of some flowers. It could be, I like to listen to God sometimes when I'm looking at my fish. I have a fish tank and I like to do that. It can be listening to God, can be listening to music. There are so many different ways to just, listening to God is just mindfulness. It's bringing attention to the detail. It's like this part right here, listening to God, thinking about the Christ light within, holding space, closing our eyes, and remembering we are love and there is love around us, even when we feel like we're in the belly of the whale. Even then. Another thought I want to talk about, or just that goes with this, it says, with God always in our thoughts, our lives unfold with grace and ease. Maybe you could say that with me. With God always in our thoughts, our lives unfold with grace and ease. I am so glad you joined me here together today. I'm glad I got to share the story with you of Noah through the ukulele and the story of Jonah and the ark. I've just had a lot of fun doing this today, and I appreciate each and every one of you that listen. Thank you for coming here today. Let's say our closing prayer, which is the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you, and may you have a blessed day.